The upcoming basketball season is going to be exciting on every level. High school, college, overseas, and the NBA all have something to pay attention to, but with as many eyes on the game, that puts a lot of pressure on certain players. So in today's video, we're going to look at players with the most improved in the upcoming season. So if you guys like my content, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's try to get an insane 9 likes on today's video, and we're going to hop right into it. Okay guys, so we're going to start it off with Lamelo Ball, who's one, if not the most well-known player who's not in the NBA right now. Now his popularity stems from several things. He won a national championship in just his freshman season with his brothers at Chino Hills. In his sophomore year, he gained a lot of attention for his crazy scoring outings with highlight moments such as his half-court pull-up and 92-point game, while at the same time his brother Lonzo was dominating at UCLA on his way to becoming the number 2 pick in the 2017 NBA draft. He is one of the most outspoken fathers on the planet in LeVar Ball, who seemed to be on ESPN on a regular basis. All this attention led to the family receiving their own reality TV show, and right now Lamelo Ball is sitting at 4.8 million Instagram followers. Now his draft stock going into this season is pretty controversial. Some people feel he's a consensus top 3 pick, while others feel he won't even be touching the lottery. Right now, his projected landing spot is all over the place on top mock drafts. Tankathon has him at 18, NBADraft.net has him all the way at 4, NBA Draft Room at 10, Bleacher Report at 7, NBC at 7, Yahoo Sports at 17, CBS at 9, and ESPN all the way down at 24. After Lamelo's time at Chino Hills, he had a small professional stint in Lithuania, but his role was so small and the league had little global credit, so it didn't do anything but hurt his stock. Then LeVar started the failed Big Baller League, where Lamelo got to throw up whatever he wanted like it was a pickup game, which again had no positive effect on his draft stock. But this past season, he returned to high school at Spire Institute, where we got to see him compete against the top prospects in the country, where he proved himself as a legit 2020 prospect and finished the year as the 21st ranked player on the ESPN 100. This season, Lamelo is headed to the Hawks of the Australian NBL, joining another top prospect in next year's draft, RJ Hampton, who's going to be on the New Zealand Breakers. We've seen top prospects go to Australia instead of college in the past. The most notable examples will be Terrence Ferguson, who despite having a small role, still managed to become a first-round selection in the draft, and Brian Bowen, who went there as a last resort after being the face of a massive college basketball scandal. But with the direction the NBL is going, trying to become an alternative to college basketball, I expect a stronger focus on showcasing top prospects like Melo and RJ. After signing a deal with ESPN, there are more eyes on the NBL than ever, which is going to add to the already immense amount of pressure on Lamelo. He has a lot to offer as a versatile 6'8" point guard, but his draft position is far from guaranteed, so he needs to impress to alleviate these concerns surrounding him going into the draft. His willingness and honestly impressive passing inspire definitely helped his case, but I think what he really needs to showcase is effort on both ends and put up respectable efficiency, as we finally have properly recorded stats like we didn't get to see from him in high school. Like his brother Lonzo, Lamelo has a very unorthodox shooting form, so while it's appeared to be effective so far, that's not going to stop NBA teams from worrying. It translates like it did for his brother. He shot over 41% from 3 at UCLA, but in his first 2 seasons, Lonzo has shot less than 32%. Lamelo's shooting form is pretty much what you're told not to do when learning how to shoot, as for most of the shot, each hand has the same position with his elbows out. Now he does finish pretty uniform, but that was the same rationale given to Lonzo coming out of UCLA. While an efficient outing in the NBL won't dismiss the long-term concerns, an inefficient one will most likely not get excused. So while I feel Lamelo is a top-tier prospect, as a 6'8" point guard with solid playmaking and scoring in his DNA, he has a lot to prove this season to become a top pick and has more eyes on him than any other player competing for those spots. Next, we've got Anthony Bennett, who's one of the most well-known busts in NBA history. He was the number 1 overall pick in 2013, but so far has only gotten 13 minutes a game and 4.4 points on pretty terrible efficiency, and we haven't seen him play in the NBA since 2017. Since then, he spent most of his time in the NBA G League, where he's averaged 13 points, 6 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field and 42% from 3. He also had a small stint in the EuroLeague, where he had a very small role. Now, looking back at the 2013 draft, I don't blame the Cavaliers too much for that decision. That draft was very, very weak. Yes, they took Bennett, which was a surprise to most, but players projected to go there were guys like Cody Zeller, Alex Len, and Nerlens Noel. The number 1 pick was far from guaranteed, unlike recent drafts with Zion this year and DeAndre Ayton last year. Bennett was a solid prospect, a 6'8" power forward with a solid offensive skill set that included spreading beyond the arc. Now, some amazing talent did come out of this draft, such as Victor Oladipo, who went 2nd overall. While Oladipo was a solid prospect, there were a lot of questions about him on the offensive side that didn't make him the obvious number 1 pick. We had Giannis, but I don't even think I need to explain that Giannis' remarkable development was close to unpredictable, and he was an extremely raw prospect coming into that draft. We also saw guys like Gobert and CJ McCollum come out of this class, but all these guys I'm mentioning aside from Oladipo weren't even in the conversation for that first overall spot. So while this collection clearly didn't work out, at the time it really wasn't that unreasonable. But even with that said, it doesn't change the fact that Anthony Bennett is one of the most least productive #1 overall picks we have ever seen, but he's back in the league this year. He signed a 1-year non-guaranteed contract with the Houston Rockets. This could be his last chance, so we need to show he isn't that sluggish player we saw early on in his career. He has to show his ability as a stretch forward, and he needs to do it quick. I've always been more positive on Bennett than most, and I honestly feel with the right dedication, there is a spot for him in this league. Next, we've got Isaiah Thomas, who holds one of the most inspirational stories for all the kids putting in the work on the court, but don't have that quote-unquote NBA size. He was overlooked in the 2011 NBA draft as he fell to the last pick, but by the end of his rookie season had surpassed the role of the GOAT in Kings lottery selection JimmerRange. Despite putting up solid numbers, he was traded to the Phoenix Suns and didn't even last a full season before again getting traded, this time to the Boston Celtics. In his first season with the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas proved he wasn't a joke and almost single-handedly brought the Celtics out of a rebuild. In the 2017 season, he led Boston to the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, becoming a contender for MVP, averaging 29 points, 6 assists, shooting 45% from the field and 48% from 3. Coming out of that season, Thomas was dealing with a hip injury and would end up being involved in a blockbuster Kyrie deal that sent him to join LeBron James in the Cleveland Cavaliers. The injury proved to be a bigger deal than most people thought, as he looked like a shell of his former self and only lasted 15 games before heading to Los Angeles Lakers, where he would finish off the season. Again, it wasn't anything special. This past season, he signed a 1-year deal with the Denver Nuggets, where we only saw him play in 12 games where he got 15 minutes. This upcoming season, he's headed to the Washington Wizards, where he has the chance to prove it's too early to give up on the former MVP candidate. The Wizards will most likely not have Wall this season, and they lost Thomas Satoransky this offseason, clearing the way for Isaiah Thomas's opportunity. The pressure is on him with how poor of a defender IT is, as he needs to get buckets and he needs to get them quickly, as it's close to impossible to keep him on the court with how atrocious of a defender he is. I hope nothing but the best for IT, so hopefully he can be the comeback story of the season. Next, we have a son of an NBA legend in Shaquille ONeal. First, we talked about Lamelo proving himself worthy of the hype overseas. Then we talked about the bust Anthony Bennett proving he belongs in the league. Then Isaiah Thomas proving he can still be that player we saw a couple years ago. Now it's time to look at a guy in a pretty interesting situation. Not only is he coming in with very high expectations as a son of Shaquille O'Neal, his draft stock was already unclear last year, but he ended up missing his whole freshman season due to a heart condition. This serious of a health situation makes him a risky pick in the 2020 draft, so he needs to prove that this is in the past, and he deserves to hear his name called on draft night. Shaquille O'Neal finished his senior year as the 32nd ranked player in the country. He isn't just the son of Shaq, he's a legitimate prospect that we need to pay attention to this season. He is a 6'10" power forward who can jump out the gym, but also has a very fluid game and isn't afraid to spread it beyond the arc. The Drew League showed us he is healthy, but he has a lot more to go. Going to UCLA, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, so while right now he's nowhere to be seen on 2020 mocks, that doesn't change the fact that the pressure is on and he has a lot to prove. Lastly, we have one of the greatest players of all time in LeBron James. He needs to prove he's far from a drastic decline and cement his legacy by taking home an NBA title alongside one of the best players in the league in Anthony Davis. The Warriors aren't what they were. Yes, the Clippers are looking scary, but this season there aren't any excuses, and if he's really chasing the ghost in Chicago, the clock is ticking. LeBron failed to make the playoffs this past season, but in the process showed he isn't done, averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, shooting over 50% from the field. It's a constant debate on whether they are the favorites heading into this season, but there's no question that a disappointing season in LA isn't going to affect anyone as greatly as LeBron James. He has the chance to prove he's the best to pick up a ball and show Anthony Davis they have a chance to take home multiple titles with a contract extension. Not only is there pressure on LeBron, but as an honorable mention, we have his son LeBron James Jr. or Bronny. He's been one of the most hyped players in the world since stepping on a middle school court. He has some of the biggest highlight reels we have ever seen, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. After making his Instagram just months ago, he already surpassed 3 million followers. But why this season is so much different than the others, it's his freshman season in high school. As you guys know, in today's era of basketball, the process of going to the league starts earlier and earlier, and Bronny needs to continue to prove he's more than just a last name. He's heading into this season as a top-ranked player in his class, and will be playing on one of the top high school programs in the country in Sierra Canyon. But while it's unfair to give him hype just for who his father is, to me his potential is undeniable, and I expect Bronny to continue his strong path to joining his father in the NBA. Now, there are a lot of guys I could have put on this list. Michael Porter Jr. jumps out, but I've already talked about his situation a lot recently. Other guys like Ben Simmons living up to his contract, or young players going into their contract year, but these guys stood out to me, and I want to do people in different situations. But that's the video, guys. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and the shoutouts are gonna be Sienna Hopkins, Shaquille Nelson, Cowboys Fan 07, Ahmed G, and Kyrie Irving. If you guys want to shout out in the next video, all you gotta do is like the video and comment liked or rep notification gang, and I'll shout 5 of you guys out. With all that being said, hope you guys have a great day, and peace.